Beyond 3D. Good evening. Beat you to it this week, Matt. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Beyond 3D. And the Peninsula Film Festival just ended tonight. And
it did.
What a marvellous night that was.
Yeah.
Fantastic, Matt.
If you're into film.
You like film.
I love film.
Big thanks.
I just can't get enough of film.
I was going to say big thanks to Steve from Soul to Soul tonight for
Absolutely.
Working the panel down at the Peninsula Film Festival and helping us make sure our show goes to air from down there.
Congratulations to all the winners at the film festival tonight.
Everybody's a winner. It takes a lot of hard work.
Enjoy your award. Enjoy the adulation of the masses.
It takes a lot of hard work to make a film.
It sure as heck does. A lot more than we're willing to do. But hey, that's the way it is. But guys, welcome to Beyond 3D this Saturday evening in and around the peninsula and streaming to you live over the internet as well at www.rdpfm.com.au/stream.
I'm going to open the door.
With?
Here we go. Okay, I've opened the Trump door.
Yep. I'm
giving you tonight, unless he comes up again in conversation, just randomly, I'm giving you, what do you need, 2 minutes, 5 minutes?
For Trump?
Oh, come on, man.
God help us.
We're only a 1 hour show usually.
All right, yeah, fine. Trump, what did he do this week besides totally and unequivocally insult the Prime Minister of Australia over a telephone call?
Or the rest of the world.
Well, that too, but still. It's come home. It's hitting home. It's hitting here in Australia, and they now know exactly what they have to deal with. But they did try to send Joe Hawkey in to stem the tide, to cool things down, make cooler heads prevail, but we are talking about Donald Trump, after all. Cooler heads will never prevail.
I reckon if you put Joe Hawkey with Donald Trump, put them both in a sumo suit.
You forget, Trump was in the WWE and the WWF.
I saw that during the week.
World Wrestling, so he knows all the moves.
His acting has improved.
I'll tell you what. But now I really don't have anything really to say about the guy. I mean, there's some cabinet appointments that have gone through. People are rioting all over the place, including at the University of California and Berkeley, and all their rioting is about to get them is a cutting off of federal funds. But then again, that is going to be the counter from the Trump administration now on. If you do something they don't like, they're going to cut you off.
I have my hand up.
Clint?
I saw yesterday a clip. Somebody had filmed a press conference.
Yes.
That Trump was holding. And a American citizen.
Yes.
Of ethnic background.
Yes.
A professional journalist, right. This man was, had his hand up to ask a question. And when he started asking the questions about the wall and the immigrants, and he was asking Trump about the refugees and the wall. And straight away, Donald pointed to one of these goons with the no necks.
Yep. Picked
up the man and took him outside.
Right.
And
was this man of Hispanic origin?
Something like that. I did say he was not.
Yeah.
We have some ethnic diversity.
Yeah. Well, what they have found out once again, and I think a lot of people have found this out over the last couple of weeks, if you say something that the Donald doesn't like, you are removed.
They said to him, it wasn't about his questions, because he was asking about the wall and refugees.
Right.
They told him that this was not his country and get out.
Well, the fact of the matter is the people that are around Donald Trump automatically look at someone who has an accent or a different skin color and automatically believe that they are in the United States illegally, and therefore, this is not your country. Leave. You cannot possibly believe what we believe. Leave.
What did Prince Charles come out and say this week? It was...
Buggery?
No. Prince Charles came out this week and said, let's not forget the lessons learnt in World War II.
Well, being that you basically have Bormann, Hitler, and Himmler in the White House right now, what do you expect? That's the way it's starting to look. I mean, these guys are something else. But we digress. We will see what happens. Let's do what we always do as civilized people. Let's give them a chance. Wait and see. Okay, the chance is up there.
I was going to say, what chance are you talking about?
They're idiots. All right, let's just leave it at that, and we just have to deal with it for the next 4 years or less.
Big Chief Littlefingers needs his hands cut off, so he's not touching those buttons, those key codes.
I'm not even worried about those. Got to worry about... Remember, United States citizens, that wall is to keep you in. Don't worry about anybody else coming into the United States. They just want to keep you in, because believe me, you're going to... We should set up a business, Clint. I'm telling you. We can make a lot of money. Sponsoring. There'll be a whole lot of United States citizens that'll want to get the heck out of there in about a year and a half.
I went quiet then because I was thinking about how you would actually do that.
There's got to be a way. There's got to be a way. We'll figure it out. But we digress. That's enough about Trump right now. Quite frankly, after a while, he's a little bit too negative even for us to deal with. You have to look at it. You have to say, all right, enough is enough. Let's get on to some really interesting things.
That's it. I'm closing the door.
Very good. It's closed.
Done.
Until we have to bring something else up about it. Anyway, guys, hopefully you've all had a great Saturday evening out there in Rosebud, down and around the Short Film Festival. We are sitting here in the studios of RWP on Wilson Road in Mornington, on the Peninsula, in the Melbourne area, in the state of Victoria, on the continent known as Australia.
In the free state of Victoria.
The free state of Victoria, as opposed to the free state of Jefferson. Or other places around the world that want to. Oh!
Dr. Richard Alan Miller lives in the free state of Jefferson.
He might not have to worry about living in the free state of Jefferson anymore, but he just might be able to move back into California, being that they are looking to...
Breakaway.
To secede.
Can you explain that? Because I read that yesterday.
Well, that was the whole thing around the Civil War, was the southern states decided that being that they couldn't keep their slaves, they were going to secede from the Union. They were going to form their own country and not have to deal with the so-called Union.
But that also means that they have to provide their own army.
And you have the National Guard in California, so that wouldn't be a problem.
Okay.
They have enough resources. They have enough money. And the reason they have enough money is because the rules or the laws in California state that you cannot take pension funds and borrow against them as a government. So they have a pretty good case. It's a very liberal state, but it's not liberal in the terms of Democrats and Republicans over there. It's liberal in the way people think. People are more into, for lack of better terms, mixology. They like humanity getting together. They like sharing different ideas. They like sharing different ideals.
They like being multicultural.
They love being multicultural, which cannot be said about a lot of other places.
I'm just getting back to the National Guard.
Yes, the National Guard.
They're the National Guard, not the Californian Guard. So if Trump wanted to pull them out, he could. Damn it, I just said his name. He who shall not be named.
You mean Voldemort? Yeah, well, anyway, what are you going to do? We'll see what happens. It's going to get more and more interesting as time goes by, especially now he's done his Supreme Court pick, and I've just said it again, so let's stop. Let's get into what we really need to talk about, and that's what we're about as far as Beyond 3D is concerned. What we want to give you guys, and what we've tried to do over the last 3 years, is give you information that makes you think outside of the proverbial box. We talk about the Matrix, we talk about a lot of things like that, but what I'm starting to see, Clint, a lot lately is there are some really interesting shows that are coming on television in the sci-fi genre.
You did a rare thing this week.
Which was?
You messaged me.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
You messaged me and you asked me about a particular show.
I did.
Which was?
The Expanse.
Mm-hmm. Can you expand upon this?
I can expand upon it. If you guys want a good science fiction show, and I'm talking about a really good science fiction show, there's a show called The Expanse. Brief synopsis, 200 years in the future. This solar system is colonized.
By what?
Just say it's colonized.
Okay, it's colonized.
There are police, there's all kinds of stuff going on, but in a general sense, you have police detectives, you have missing people, you have executive officers, you have ships that are doing different things in the solar system, but what they're trying to do is they're looking for a missing young woman. There's a lot of things going on. Some people are born on the Earth, some people are born on Mars, and some people are born in what they call the Belt. As in on Ceres and things like that.
Kuiper Belt.
Ceres and everything like that, the lovely little planet that we're trying to figure out what's going on. And it's a really interesting story about how this alliance is about to be torn asunder because of certain things going on. And it's still a murder mystery kind of really good plots and things like that, conspiracies, all kinds of things going on. It had its first season, and the second season of this show just started this month. So they're into season 2, and it's on the Sci-Fi Channel, so everybody can get the out there.
You rate it?
It is, I am told, I've seen a few shorts, I've seen a few clips, I am told it is about as good as it gets.
Do you remember when I gave you Shannara Chronicles?
I do.
Now that was more fantasy based.
Yes, it was.
Did you enjoy that?
I loved it.
Oh, okay.
Yes. I really did. I really enjoyed watching it. I'm looking forward to it starting up again.
Okay.
And but this is another one. And I have to wax philosophic a little bit because there is another show that is about to start up. But I think what I'll do is give you a little snippet of the theme. Okay, Clint.
I'm hearing taps.
You're hearing taps?
Yeah.
That's not taps.
No. I'm hearing taps, as in the drums when they do taps. So
Okay,
I'm predicting it's some kind of military-based show.
It could be.
Well, don't bring something like this to the table and sit there like the cat who ate the canary. Nobody knows what you're talking about, not even me.
Star Trek Discovery.
Okay.
That's the new theme.
Nice.
So there's a new Star Trek show coming out as well. So television-wise, science fiction-wise, what you're going to get with these shows is you're getting a lot of themes that are going through these shows that are basically giving us...
pre-programming.
Yes, in a sense, but it's a positive pre-programming. They're letting us know what's going on out there, what's going on in the universe. All of a sudden, there is a conglomeration of planets in this solar system. People were working together, but then the normal crud breaks in. War, pestilence, this, that, and the other. But what they're letting you know is there's a whole lot going on out there that you don't necessarily know about, and there are some people who would rather you never knew about it. So you have these science fiction shows that are giving us little snippets. There's another thing that gives us little snippets of what's going on.
You're on fire tonight.
That is in the genre of...
I'm just sitting back
movies.
amazed. I'm just looking at you amazed.
Well,
You're just pulling out stuff right, left, and center. This is not...
This was a person, you'll get this immediately.
You're like Bizarro, Matt.
Not at all. This was a person that we interviewed, and he had a really good book, and we had a lot of fun talking with him.
Robert Sullivan.
Yes, and he wrote a book called Cinema Symbolism.
And he has Cinema Symbolism 2 coming out.
In either March or April of this year.
We'll get him back in.
We have to get him back in and talk about his new book that's coming up as well. But guys, you can look at that on Amazon.com. Cinema Symbolism and Cinema Symbolism 2.
You talk about The Expanse.
Yeah.
And you talk about, what was it, Star Trek what?
Discovery.
Discovery.
Star Trek
Okay,
Discovery.
Star Trek Discovery and The Expanse. Robert Sullivan would quite openly talk about the hidden themes in these type of TV shows and
Yes,
the
he
way the pre-programming works on society.
Yes, it does. And yes, he does. He does. And Cinema Symbolism 2, what he's going to do is he's going to start talking about the whole Harry Potter genre and what's going on with that and the symbolism behind it. There are other movies like Alice in Wonderland that he's going to bring up as well in the second book.
But hang on a second, how can you criticize... No. How can you put a spotlight on Alice in Wonderland when Lewis Carroll wrote it all those years ago on some kind of LSD trip?
Well, I guess we're going to have to wait to watch and find out. I guess we're going to have to get the book, see what's going on. We're going to have to interview Robert again and find out what was his motivation behind picking that.
Yeah, okay. I'm really looking forward to asking him that question because we get guests in here and we don't always agree with the stuff that they want to talk about or the things that they put forward. We will call them.
Yep.
I'm going to call him on that one.
Ask. All you can do is ask and get his take on what's going on. But there's a lot going on with that. So Robert Sullivan, he does bring up those two stories in the next edition of Cinema Symbolism.
We have to take a break, Matt, already. Beyond 3D.
Welcome back this weekend, guys, to Beyond 3D. Matt and Clint sitting here in the studios live at RWP 98.7 and 98.3 Radio Port Phillip. Hopefully you're all doing well out there. Not three sheets to the wind after the film festival, and just enjoying the evening.
I really dislike the fact that we couldn't go to that because of this tonight, but you know what? Then it's the breaks.
It is, because I know there's going to be a lot of people that will say that it was quite well done, and that is the way it should be. They do Steve Bastoni does a really good job with his film festival.
He does an awesome job.
Yeah, so that's always very good. But back to it. What else has been going on this week? What's been on your radar? Well, you did send me a lovely photo of the chemtrails that are still coming through.
There were chemtrails again over the peninsula.
Yeah. Did you notice this week, Clint, how they were talking about, with chemtrails, I automatically tie it to the fact that we had that storm last year and 9 people died from asthma.
Lightning asthma?
Yeah, this lightning storm that caused asthma. I've never heard of this on Earth, but it happened here in the Melbourne area, and it was absolutely fascinating, the fact that we have a storm. And I'll tell you what, during that storm, what I noticed, and as an asthmatic, what I noticed, I'm really good. I haven't had an asthma attack in a very long time. But I did, over that period of time, have to reach for my Ventolin. I was very surprised. So there was a lot of stuff in the air.
I'll tell you why you're surprised. Because you probably don't know that in your average chemtrail, you have radioactive thorium, you have cadmium, chromium, nickel, and desiccated blood, mold spores, yellow fungal spores. I mean, I could go on and on about the poisons that they pump up there. The question is why? That's the million-dollar question around the world.
Age control.
Population control.
Population control.
That comes under things like Agenda 21.
It would come under Agenda 21. It also would come under the actuaries, insurance companies that basically only have to pay out 2% on life insurance policies because they can figure out exactly who you are, where you are, and what you're going to die from. It's amazing what goes on out there. But I was very surprised, and I have, as I said earlier, I never, ever, ever heard of anyone dying from a thunderstorm.
I know you laughed there, but you weren't laughing at their misfortune. You were laughing at the ridiculousness of lightning asthma. I mean, that's just made up. That's something... no.
It's weird.
I was going to say his name, but I won't. He will not be named.
He will not be named? Okay, fair enough. Also this week, let's see. I've been just looking around and seeing what's been going on here. A few videos have been out on YouTube, and they cover new things in a sense. You remember this researcher who one day we might be able to get on the show, and a person named Linda Moulton Howe.
She is in such high demand.
Tell me about it. But
and she is a what would you call a gatekeeper to some of the biggest whistleblowers around the world.
Absolutely. And what she's now discussing getting into is another place, and it isn't Antarctica, but it is cold, and it's Greenland.
Okay, that's supposed to be one of the most pure places in the world. Well,
according to some, there have been wars fought on Greenland.
Yeah, of the humankind?
No,
I didn't think that's what you were leaning towards.
No, not of the humankind. And I saw this week, I did a little bit of research, and I saw the picture of an area on the southern tip of Greenland. The name ultimately will come to me, and if it doesn't, I will put the picture up on the Facebook page. But what it showed, this picture was taken back in the mid-1960s. And for the mid-1960s, this area of Greenland had a lot of very interesting architecture, shall we say.
Okay.
Interesting buildings, interesting formations. Naturally, you could see what would remind me, if you were to go to a refinery, the big tanks where they would hold gasoline or oil in and things like that. That was around there. But there were some other buildings that struck me as quite odd. Piping structures that struck me as odd as well. And this is supposed to be a place where it's called an H area, so helicopters could land there. But in this photo, you didn't see any helicopters whatsoever.
Is that at the US Thulipathak Air Base?
Could be. I'm not sure. I have to see. What I'll look at the photo again, and I'm going to put it up on our Facebook page, and that way people can basically look at it and probably Google Earth it and see what goes up there now. Because if that picture's from '66, somebody might have taken one later than that. Thinking that was a whole lot of years ago, 50, and see what's there now. But according to research that has been done, and according to Linda Moulton Howe, who has talked and has contacts with many military personnel, there are wars currently, even still today, being fought on that body of land, shall we say. And it's not fought between any military forms that are known to inhabit this planet as natives. Let's leave it that way. In other words, not from here.
In an infrared spectrum?
I believe they actually have pictures of it outside of an infrared spectrum, which would be interesting as well to see, but I doubt they'll actually see the light of day. If they are, it'll be in somebody's deathbed kind of a thing. The other area that this week there have been some interesting things going on is closer to Antarctica.
Tasmania.
No.
There's nothing close. There's nothing close. Mauritius.
No.
Not Mauritius.
No. South America.
Okay.
Chile, the Patagonia area.
Well, hang on. Mauritius is in between here and there.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
That's going toward Africa.
Okay, you know what? You're absolutely correct. I'll go stand in the corner for a minute and have a think about it.
Anywho,
wow.
They have, and this will be near and dear to your heart. They have found.
I don't have one.
Oh, that's right. Near and dear to whatever pumps your blood. They have found some very interesting topography, shall we say, in mountainous areas in Patagonia. And they are now talking about that these areas could possibly be inhabited by that cryptozoological favorite, the Nephilim.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Why Patagonia?
Oh, who knows? Look, quite frankly...
look, everything you're throwing up is an area that is sort of semi-isolated from mainstream populations.
This cycles mainstream population.
Thank you.
We also know, based on research, that if you go into the so-called desert areas, that they can prove that civilizations did exist in those areas a long time ago. So what you're looking at, it would be like if you were to go back to the turn of the 20th century, the early 1900s, and you were in Peru, and
Did you just say... Sorry. Did you just say
Peru?
Peru. Okay.
Peru.
Peru.
And you came across, for the first time...
A guinea pig?
Not a guinea pig.
Get to the point, Matthew.
Incas.
Thank you.
The Inca civilizations.
Yep.
And you came across those cities like Machu Picchu, and you wouldn't know what you were looking at. And if somebody were to show you a picture of it from the air, you would say, oh, it's just natural rock formations, until you got down there and said, whoa, that kind of stuff is going on as well. So we got cryptozoology and the Nephilim and the giants coming out in the Patagonian areas. We have UFOs, wars being fought by off-world civilizations in isolated areas of Greenland. You have really good TV shows coming up. You have... there's so many different conspiracies going on right now. And the other thing that we all have to deal with as well is, and we'll have to talk about this next segment when we get back from the next break, we'll have to talk about what's going on the moon and Mars, the truth behind what they have actually found up there. They found some new little goodies.
Do we have to take a break? Do we have to take a break?
Oh, ultimately we might as well, because if we get one out of the way now, we can basically...
punch through
and yet not have to worry about it a lot, because Steve is out there doing this for us, and we can deal with that as well.
Thank you, Steve.
Absolutely. Love your work.
Hit the button.
Back in a moment, guys.
Beyond 3D.
Welcome back tonight, everyone, to another edition of Beyond 3D. Saturday night, Matt?
Yep, indeed.
In
and around the peninsula. Loving every minute of it. Well, at least this minute.
Every moment's golden with you and I. Come on.
What are you going to do? Yes, we are. We're good. Guys, before the break, I was about to talk about some of the things that are going on in the Moon Mars area. But before we get into that, another plug we have to put in out there for another friend of ours, and that is for Nexus magazine.
Oh, Duncan Rhodes.
And Mr. Duncan Rhodes. And what he's now done is put up something that everybody should look into, so we're going to put the link up on the Facebook page as well, but it's the Nexus News Feed.
I was on there yesterday.
.com.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really, really cool. Actually, you know what? I think Duncan's just put us out of a job.
But no, it's really, really great, guys. And they've also relaunched the magazine in the United States, print version, which is a really good thing. I think what's going on now, being that everyone is into the internet, being that everybody is into Kindle and reading everything online, it is actually very nice to have a physical book in your hand, or a magazine in your hand.
Somebody said that to me the other day. Do I use a Kindle? And I said, no, I actually like the tactile feel and the weight and the heft of a book in my hand.
When I wrote my book, I wanted to have something. They put it in Kindle, and you can get it that way, but I wanted a physical book that I can have in my hands. I could take around with me, and then if I want, I can just open up to a page and I can read it. And I'll put the link to my book up on the website as well. It's called The Path, a Market Maker's Guide to Spiritual Awakening.
I just read something that Ted Cruz's father took part in the assassination of President Kennedy.
Oh, yeah, probably.
No, I'm looking at conspiracies.
Didn't everybody?
No, they didn't, actually, Matthew.
When it comes to that, everybody was in on the Kennedy assassination, including all of Washington, D.C., including the entire Congress, and only one congressman had the guts to talk about it.
I know, that was very, very brave.
Mm-hmm. Adam Clayton Powell. He was the only one who brought it up, and he basically, and what happened to him? This was a young man in Congress, black congressman representing Harlem in New York. He was the one who said everybody in Washington knows that the Kennedy thing was a conspiracy. It was a cover-up. Everyone knows it. What happened to him?
See you later.
Basically.
Mm-hmm.
Rare form of cancer, I believe, and taken off the planet within a year.
And then took a dirt nap.
That's the way, and that's what happens if you say something that you're not supposed to.
We do that all the time.
Well, except for these days, with the who shall not be named sitting in the White House.
Do you reckon we're out of reach?
In what form?
You and I. Do you reckon you and I are out of reach?
Out of reach of what?
There are lots of organisations out there that do not like what it is that you and I talk about.
Good.
I know it's good, but I'm asking you, do you think we're out of reach?
No, I think I don't really. People.
I don't care.
No, you need people out there that are going to tell people what the truth is. Whether it comes to UFOs or anything like that, it could come to just something as simple as what government is actually doing to the citizenry. You got to have somebody who's willing to stand up and say, look, this is what's actually happening. You are being lied to, or the truth is being hidden from you. Certain information is being withheld.
Or redacted, or drip-fed, or...
Yeah, so that it can be controlled. You don't want control. What you want to know the truth. I'm sick and tired of hearing, if people knew that there were other civilizations and planets, it would drive the world crazy. What about religion? What about religion?
Do you know what? Right now is a perfect time for disclosure. Right now. Because of he who shall not be named.
Yes.
Having all that negative... having all that negative attention that he's pumping out there. You know what? If a disclosure movement happened right now, everybody would just forget about him. Just momentarily. It would be brilliant.
Maybe. But then he'd bring up something. Pay attention to me, like a little baby. But anyway, no, there's, back to it. Okay.
The moon?
The moon. We'll put links to these up on our Facebook page as well. There are new videos or films from the Apollo 16 mission and from the Apollo 17 mission, the official last mission to the moon. And it basically definitively shows bases on the moon. So
no
put the links up.
Way.
Yep, it does. So you guys can take a look at it and you can say what you want about it, but that's what's going on right now. A lot more information is coming out about these things. And I think we're going to find that, look, we've said it on this show over the last 3 years. It's simple. If you dig down deep enough on the Earth, you will find out that there were civilizations that lived hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years ago, and were wiped. And start again. It's just like when you have a bushfire. It clears out the forest, but the forest can grow back again. The exact same thing happened on Mars. The exact same thing happened on the moon. Some people out there say the moon... Well, the fact of the matter is the moon should not be there. It's too big. But that's a different story.
Hang on. What do you... No. Let's...
It's too big.
Pump your brakes. What do you mean it's too big?
For this size of the planet we are on, the moon should be 2/3 smaller when you look at every other planet in the solar system and its moons. Therefore, why is that moon the only one to fit the category it fits around this planet Earth? Is it an observation post that was put there? Why is it that the moon
rings like a bell
when something hits it and they've tried to blow it up? Why is it that you can only see the front side of the moon and it travels in such a way where you can never see the back end of the moon, where every other single planet and moon rotates? Why? This is what goes on. This is what people need to look at.
You know what? It's in your face. It's there. It's up there every night.
Yes, in plain sight.
Pending you have a clear sky.
Yeah.
I don't understand why most people don't go, why is that not rotating? people look at it and just accept it for what it is, and then
Yes,
just go
they do.
about eat, sleep, rinse, repeat.
I grew up in New York City. How many times have I been to the Statue of Liberty?
Are you asking me? Because I wouldn't know how to answer that.
Well, the answer is zero.
Okay.
Because it's there. I know it's there. I don't have to worry about it. I'm not going to go out there and explore it and look at it. It's always there. It's the way it is. You look up and you see it's the moon. And they just keep on walk by. They don't want to know the history of it. They don't want to know what's up there. You have all those lovely people who believe that the United States never got to the moon.
Well, Kubrick.
Yeah.
Look, okay, no, I'll bring it up. Kubrick, there was controversy over Kubrick last year.
Yes, there was.
In regards to him making or assisting in providing footage
Yes.
of a fake moon landing.
Yes.
Now, let's just play devil's advocate with that for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that man's landed on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Something there has been discovered that wasn't supposed to be discovered.
Yep.
We need to cross to something back on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Why not have a moon mock-up in a TV studio ready to go, just in case we need to cut to something else?
Well,
There's many different ways you can look at it.
Well, let's get really esoteric.
I'll go for it.
Apollo 11 was the first mission to land on the moon. What did Apollo 10 do? Apollo 10 went up. It didn't land. It literally did 360-degree circle around the moon, mapping and filming. All of a sudden...
I'm with you. I see where you're going here.
So all of a sudden, they go up there. What do they see? All kinds of goodies.
All kinds of goodies.
They come back and make a report. And now the next mission's going to land on this sucker.
So we better have something ready to go in case
Have
we need to
something prepared.
cut to something else.
Exactly. So...
And there's all these different theories and arguments about what man landed on the moon, man didn't land on the moon, the moon's hollow, the moon's a satellite, the moon's a hologram. I think David Icke even once said that the moon was supposed to be some kind of hologram. I've heard all these different theories, but there's a real silver thread of truth that runs through all those things. And the fact of the matter is, some of those things might appear to be contradictory, but they could also be complementary for each other. There's different ways of looking at it. It's all about perspective.
Oh, yeah. Well, as far as I'm concerned, I sat there as a very young kid and watched Neil Armstrong take the first steps off the LEM and onto the moon. I believe that they went there. There are photographs that actually show the landing sites for all of the Apollo missions. I'm not worried about that.
I don't doubt that at all. I've got no argument against
People
that.
would say they never went and the whole thing was faked. They're morons as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, they're the flat Earth people.
Pardon me if I insulted a moron out there.
They're the flat Earth people.
Yeah, them too. Oh, God, flat Earth. Well, it's ovoid. How about that? Because now what the flat earthers are saying, well, if you remove the water, it looks like a pear. Oh, so it's not fluff. Come on. It's absolutely amazing that these guys go through this stuff, and then they try to constantly, look, here's what it comes down to. If you were to do something like Star Wars, if you were a Jedi, let's say, and you could just take the phone in front of us here and you could levitate it.
I'd bash you in the head with it.
Yeah, that too. And then you'd put it back down on the desk, and you said that to some jerk that's from the Skeptic Society. What would they say to you?
Oh, they'd come up with a reason for it not to have done what it did.
Exactly. So they're not going to believe it.
No.
They don't even believe their own eyes. Now, yes, there are magicians that can use sleight of hand. But if you looked at that and they saw something and they can see it, they test it, they put their hands around it, they can see there's no strings attached to it, and you actually levitate something, and it goes back down. You know what they would say even when they saw it and they know it was the truth? The first words would come out of their mouth, do it again.
Yeah, well, some things can't be repeated.
Well, this is the whole point. Do it again. You saw it, you still don't believe it, so now I have to do it again. And then if you do it again, it'll be do it another time. And what are they going for? The scientific method. If it's not repeatable, scientific method.
I love that.
Drives me up the wall.
I love that voice you just did.
It pisses me off when these guys pull this crud. You do something for them, you tell them what's going on,
Go for it,
and
mate.
they try to come. Oh,
Get fired up.
It just drives me nuts with this kind of stuff. But anyway, look, guys, there's stuff going on the moon. Take your telescopes out. You know what else happened tonight that we weren't able to go to?
I can't talk about that. but you can talk about yours. I just thought of what I couldn't go to.
Yeah, but it might be. Let me think now. Who did we interview on this show?
Oh, you're pumping my brain tonight. You put me through Mental Olympics.
Who did we interview on this show that did a really fantastic job? And he does CE5.
Okay, so Peter Maxwell Slattery? Or
He was in Melbourne tonight. They're doing a CE5 tonight.
So Peter Maxwell Slattery's doing a CE5 tonight.
Yeah.
Bugger.
Exactly.
Why did you not message me? You could have done this show by yourself. I could have gone. You could have asked any listener to come in and keep you company.
Yeah, exactly. But no, he'll do another one. And we'll definitely go to that. As a matter of fact, what I want to do, we'll have to coordinate it with him. I would like to do the show live from one of his CE5s.
Okay.
Which would be really
That'd be
interesting
awesome.
to do. And that way we can sit there and we can all watch the fun. We can all watch the light show together. But that was another thing that was going on this weekend.
I'm bleeding heavily.
Oh, yeah? Oh, well.
Where did that come from?
You're bleeding.
I know I'm bleeding. We need to take a break. I got to go fix this.
Fair enough.
Beyond 3 D.
Hemoglobin.
Hemoglobin.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm just dripping. That's all cool. Matthew.
Yes.
Hello.
How are you?
What else you got?
Well...
Can I just say I've been really, really slack this week?
No, you haven't.
No, I have.
No, you haven't.
No, I have. I've been really, really slack this week. I've had so much on.
Well, guys, I'm going to put something else up on the Facebook page.
Go for it.
And that is Neville Thompson. Now, Neville Thompson is somebody near and dear to Clint's heart, even though Clint doesn't know him. And
that was a big... Hey, that was a long bow you just drew.
No. I'll tell you why. Because this guy is known as the Gigapan Man. What he does is he puts together mosaics of Mars from all the pictures from NASA and JPL, and he does it in such a way where they are absolutely seamless.
Nice.
And what he does is he removes all of the blurry orangey colors that NASA tends to put in to make Mars look the way it looks.
How about you make sure you're sitting down?
Yes.
api.gigapan.org /profiles/pencil Nev. Neville Thompson Gigapan. There you go. You thought I didn't know.
There you go.
Thank you.
Fascinating pictures.
Thank you, Google.
Fascinating pictures. And what they actually found was there was one recent photo that you can zoom in on, and according to some, you have to take it with a grain of salt, but according to some, on the rock formations that you can see, it actually looks like some of them are chiseled and some of the figures look Mayan.
There's so much that we don't know. There's so much we don't know.
There's a lot out there that we don't know, but we're going to find out. We'll do our best to find out. So that's going on as well. Mayan symbols found on some of the rock formations in Mars is very interesting. One other... I wrote this down, and I don't know why I wrote this down, but I'll just put it out there. George Orwell.
George Orwell's 2017.
No. Well, yeah. Oh. Yes. Very good. Well done. Well played.
I actually put that on our Facebook page on Friday. I've got you again.
I wrote that, and 1984. But I wrote that down, and the reason I wrote it down was because I was doing a little bit of reading up on it, and just on him, not on the work. And he was born in one of my favorite places, India.
Okay. I did not know that.
Yeah, and all of a sudden I'm like, interesting. They have found some absolutely stunning features and different formations off the northwestern coast of the subcontinent, which prove that the Mahabharata, the Indian epic, might have been closer to reality than most people would like to admit.
Have a look at the art that exists from the Mahabharata and substitute those flying chariots.
Yep. And I'm going to have to get more research on this, but there's also some very interesting information on UFOs that are happening around different ashrams in India.
Wow.
So there's a lot going on with that. And there are actually some old films from the 1960s. and probably early 1970s that show different things, and they automatically brought up Vimanas and all the different flying vehicles from the Indian epics. So that's some more information that we're going to have to get into and deal with. Yeah, that's one of the other things that we were looking at as well. So in general, I'm going to be doing a lot more research and get some people in here that can really get into the town or the city of Dwaraka, which was Krishna's city from the Mahabharata. And a lot of people are now stating that Krishna, Brahma, Vishnu, the entire so-called Hindu god structure were actually not quite from this realm, shall we say. They're actually alien in origin.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't doubt that for 2 seconds.
And some people also saying that Jesus Christ was alien in origin, and there is a book, and I will bring the book in for next show. And I will read the excerpt to you guys about the fact that a person went to another planet, went into a temple, and saw the body in suspended animation of Jesus Christ.
Sorry, I beg your pardon. Can you just please repeat that one more time?
A person went traveling to another world realm over a 9-day period, went into a temple on another planet, and saw the body in suspended animation of Jesus Christ.
Okay.
And actually didn't talk to, but met the being that inhabited that body.
Okay.
While here.
So when you say that, I mean, we very frequently talk about the fact that our bodies are like cars and
Yes.
we're spiritual passengers inside these vehicles.
Yes.
So that's what you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's a very interesting story, and for all of those who say, oh, astral traveling, blah, 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 no. At the end of this book, the person is sitting with his mentor from this other planet, and he looks up and he says to the person, can you please show me where the Earth and the plane of existence that I know to be true is in your night sky? And the person showed it to him.
Wow, that's awesome.
And you always want that point of reference.
Yeah.
And so that was really, really fascinating as well. So, as far as I know, that's about what I did research-wise this week.
SSP.
SSP?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Secret.
Space. Program?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I watched a little bit on this week with Corey Good and David Wilcock, and
Right.
I have some really cool information. I did say I was slack this week, but I have done this. I have prepped this for tonight's show.
Okay.
Okay, so
Interesting.
I'm happy to play this now. We need to take a break, but we'll run straight into it.
Beautiful.
After the back of this.
You got it.
Beyond 3 D.
Endgame by David Wilcock and Corey Good. The establishment is threatened like never before. Are they about to disclose advanced high-tech ruins under the ice in Antarctica and a limited secret space program to try to save the New World Order agenda? This is some of the most surprising, fascinating, and relevant inside intel we have ever posted. Multiple groups have urged us to get this out as fast as possible, and here we are. The story is so incredible that you may need to just treat it like a sci-fi movie. The truth is exploding across the internet. Millions are learning for the first time that there really is a negative elite running the planet, engaging in child trafficking, among other heinous crimes. The Cabal's brazen attempts to completely destroy this information are quite surprising to the millions who are only now discovering the scope of the problem. Although this information is extremely disturbing, it is also true. The only way we can heal as a planet is to face it and deal with it, individually and collectively. Part 1 of Endgame has spread more quickly than anything we've ever written before, getting its first 100,000 views in less than 31 hours, hitting 180,000 in 5 days, and topping 10,000 Facebook likes. Perhaps not surprisingly, my David Wilcock's page was completely deleted off of Wikipedia after publishing this expose. It was always heavily compromised, but now it doesn't exist. Our goal in Part 1 was to create a unified resource of information to show how rapidly the Cabal, New World Order, Illuminati's whole agenda is plummeting. Even if you have read and understood the data in Part 1, you still have only identified one small and very negative aspect of the big picture. The full story is much deeper than most people could even imagine, and reads like an epic series of sci-fi novels, with great surprises in each new volume. Cosmic Disclosure is not fake news. If you are a viewer of our weekly Gaia show Cosmic Disclosure, or have been following previous updates on Corey Good's intel, then you are already familiar with this new reality. Corey's experiences are so highly bizarre that most people identifying as skeptics couldn't even follow us more than 10% of the way, if that. Nonetheless, Corey's intel has checked out with what many, many other high-level sources have leaked to me over 20 years of time. The truth is extremely surprising and complex. The intel also dovetails beautifully with the material in the Law of One series, which I have scientifically validated in 3 different published books with over 2,200 total references. The Cabal has now taken the incredibly brazen step of blacklisting 200 highly popular sites, including Gaia, our main portal for Disclosure TV episodes. They are using Google, Facebook, Apple, Snapchat, and other assets to prevent you from ever being able to find these sites, even if your friends wanted you to see them. YouTube has begun aggressively taking down every person posting videos on this scandal, including all 3 we mentioned in Part 1, David Seaman, Reality Calls, and the Alex Jones video. This is the work of a third world fascist dictatorship, hardly what we would expect in a democracy. If this was truly all just a big misunderstanding, why are they being so aggressive? Why block Gaia? Why would Gaia have made it onto the short list of 200 Cabal-banned sites if Cosmic Disclosure was just a big joke? How did we end up threatening the media elite enough that they literally do not want you to have any chance of finding it, even if your friends sent you the link on Facebook or Gmail? From the world we are working within, the answer is simple. Child trafficking and spirit cooking at the highest political levels is still just the very beginning. The whole subject of UFOs, ancient civilizations, advanced technology, and ETs has been strictly controlled by this very negative cabal. Much of this classified information is incredibly positive and uplifting, including the idea of an imminent mass human evolution that many refer to as ascension. The Cabal is the proverbial dragon guarding the pile of gold and treasure. If this group wasn't restricting our access to information, we would be living in a vastly more interesting world right now, with much greater technology. By working around Corey for an average of 1 out of every 6 weeks over the last 2 years, I have seen ample evidence that he is telling the truth, as he has seen and experienced it. We have endured death threats, betrayal, financial hardship, and incredibly toxic abuse. This journey has not at all been fun or easy for him, nor for me. This is a spiritual war, not just a physical one. The Cabal is messing around with very real forces that are extremely negative and can influence those around us. It is all too easy to make mistakes and authorize attacks to come your way from these same forces. In my case, it comes mainly through the interference of others. This has been extremely difficult and exhausting, but it all reads as fairly mundane stuff in the worldly sense. In Corey's case, he has had very horrible physical experiences that most would consider paranormal, including being abducted by various human or ET groups. The only way we can protect ourselves is to try to have as positive and loving of an attitude as possible. Nothing else is sufficient. It is a moment-by-moment discipline. We also have 5 different major categories of groups that are now feeding us intel and requesting our assistance. We will learn more about each of them as this update goes on. Each of these groups is fighting as hard as they can to transform our planet, and have suffered horrible casualties along the way. Number 1, the Earth Alliance. This is the group Dr. Pachenik spoke on behalf of in Part 1. It is comprised of brave fighters in all 15 of the U.S. intelligence agencies and many international factions. Number 2, the MIC Ssp Military-industrial complex, secret space program. This is a series of factions that believed they were the only game in town, up until recently. They are about to be publicly revealed. Number 3. The Ssp Alliance. This is a breakaway group within an SSP that is much more advanced than the MIC version. The SSP is controlled by the Cabal, but the Ssp Alliance is definitely not. Number 4. The Inner Earth Alliance. There are several different human ET civilizations living in huge caverns beneath the Earth's surface. Each racial type we see on Earth appears in these groups. Number 5. The Sphere Being Alliance. This is a group of super advanced ETs that have been called the Guardians and manage the spiritual and physical affairs of entire solar systems. It is not easy to have requests consistently coming at us from all 5 of these different groups, with the message always being that each new piece of intel is extremely urgent to disclose. We keep getting pounded with obstacles and challenges while trying to navigate and meet these expectations. Despite periodic lapses in both of our productivity levels, Cosmic Disclosure has continued to come out with a new episode every week, uninterrupted. We are now under direct attack by the Cabal, as they are trying to wipe us out of existence with a total internet blackout. Gaia has several weekly shows with more on the way, as well as over 7,000 unique pieces of inspirational and truth-telling media to watch. The speed and function of the Gaia site has improved considerably. What we are hearing from various insiders now is that the Cabal is on the verge of total defeat for the first time in our entire global history. The Alliance has become ever increasingly powerful as more and more people defect to it. The Cabal knows they are out of time, and as of right now they have largely completed their negotiations on how they will surrender. At the same time, the Cabal has dirt on the Earth Alliance that they do not want to see go public. Therefore, it is turned into more of a truce, where we will get part but not all of the truth. This is what we have been calling partial disclosure. We are against this happening, and will continue fighting for full disclosure, which will be much better for everyone. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people are aware of what we've disclosed, and no one has freaked out about any of it. The excuse that you can't handle the truth is nonsense. The Ssp Alliance, Inner Earth Alliance, and Sphere Being Alliance are all pushing for full disclosure as well, which they call the optimal temporal reality for our future.
Beyond 3 D.
What is partial disclosure shaping up to look like? The partial disclosure plan includes some admission of wrongdoing, an outing and punishing of mid-level people, and a beneficial global financial reset. The cosmic aspect of the plan appears to involve 3 key revelations, perhaps in different stages. Number 1, a formal public disclosure of the MIC SSP. They have 2 large cloaked orbital platforms, flying black triangle craft, and the ability to travel throughout our solar system. Number 2, the unveiling of ancient high-tech ruins in Antarctica that have been newly excavated. This will prove that Atlantis was very real and far more advanced than we thought. Number 3, the revealing of extremely ancient ruins over 1.8 billion with a B years old, within the Earth and throughout our solar system, often made of a crystalline, transparent aluminum alloy. Although this sounds pretty awesome and would be a great leap forward, this is still only a partial disclosure that leaves gaping holes in our understanding. Another potential plan that is in the optional category involves the possible disclosure of a single ET group known as the Tall Whites. This is the group that Charles Hall and others have met up with. The Cabal might try to introduce us to this group explain they have been around for a really long time, and hope that they can get us to follow a mystical new religion offered by these beings. This would definitely not be in humanity's best interest. The rapidly escalating downfall of high-level elite human trafficking rings is bringing these issues to the immediate forefront. The Cabal has run out of time. For many years, they have planned on using a partial disclosure to distract and inspire the public if the full nature of their crimes were to become known. The details have all been laid out. Much of the history and scientific research to support this data, as well as the full disclosure version, was written into the Ascension Mysteries in an effort to help the Alliance groups. The partial disclosure scenario may not include any active ET life operating around us today. The MIC SSP's party line will be that apart from ancient visitors, or perhaps an occasional gray or tall white, we are alone. The first 2 episodes of the recently rebooted X-Files TV show were a veritable blueprint for the partial disclosure of the military-industrial complex's secret space program and its entire belief system. The MIC SSP does not have the technology to travel outside our solar system, so we would still be kept in a box, just a slightly larger version. The SSP has much greater technology that could heal our planet. The Cabal could still secretly pursue their depopulation agenda as the partial disclosure unfolded over a 50 to 100 year period. The Cabal is hoping to rebrand itself as the good guys as this partial disclosure scenario rolls out. It is their last and only chance to save their agenda. The secret space program, SSP, that has technology vastly superior to anything we see in the open world. David Wilcock had been gathering a variety of insider testimonies for nearly 20 years when I began disclosing everything I knew to him in October 2014. He was able to validate my testimony by having heard many of the same things from other high-level insiders at cosmic top-secret level and above. The majority of this insider testimony was completely off the public record and did not appear anywhere online, nor in any alleged fiction in the public domain. There were so many points of correlation that we stopped counting somewhere after identifying about 60 different highly specific examples. David's knowledge of hyper-classified intel similarly convinced me that he was in contact with people who had experienced the same world that I had. He gained these contacts through being a highly public scholar in UFOs and alternative science who had proven over many years that he could be entrusted with confidentiality. The level of secrecy involved is so high that it is hard for most people to even begin to imagine the world of the SSP. An experience inside a true SSP base on Earth or elsewhere in our solar system would appear very similar to a scene from the movie Men in Black or Guardians of the Galaxy. An ever-increasing number of seemingly fictional movies, television shows, and video games are preparing us for an eventual disclosure. Some groups on Earth have been aware that we are not alone and have remained in active contact with extraterrestrials for thousands of years. Many more became involved when the Germans developed flying saucer technology, with ET assistance, in the 1930s. A vastly interconnected breakaway civilization has since developed, almost completely without any public awareness. William Tompkins independently validates. William Tompkins was unaware of me or any of my testimony when he wrote Selected by Extraterrestrials. Ours has strictly been an internet-based story, and Tompkins is a 94-year-old veteran who is not online. During World War II, he debriefed 29 different U.S. spies embedded in the German SSP at the time. There are many astonishing points of correlation between what the two of us are saying, again, far beyond any likelihood of chance. Interviews with Tompkins were conducted for Gaia before he knew anything about my testimony, but it all lines up beautifully. There are several episodes where we compare these knowledge bases, and the results are very surprising. Contact was reawakened. I had basically been out of the loop in the SSP since the late 1980s, except for a number of encounters with them in the 1990s and early 2000s that were all very brief missions. Much to my surprise, I was brought back into this world approximately 4 months after David and I began comparing notes. I was taken to a base on the moon that I was already familiar with, entitled the Lunar Operations Command, or LOC. By this point, David had gathered the bulk of my testimony together and had thoroughly briefed the senior management of Gaia on the story. I was quite surprised to discover that an alliance had formed within the SSP that wanted to share their remarkable technology with the general population of Earth. This alliance partially arose out of the SSP faction I worked within, known as Solar Warden. There are a total of 5 different SSP factions, and Solar Warden is made up of members from all 5 of them. The Solar Warden code name was also discovered by the hacker Gary McKinnon and was independently verified by William Tompkins. Sphere Being Alliance Ambassador. The SSP is already engaged with a diverse community of over 900 different human-like civilizations that they have regular ongoing trade with, as well as less frequent contact with many others. I became a conduit for the SSP Alliance to speak with a group of highly powerful, positive ETs that had remained mysterious up until then. These beings arrived in hundreds of gigantic spheres parked throughout our solar system. The spheres have been coming in since the late 1990s and have remained cloaked ever since. David was aware of the spheres ever since they first arrived, as they were often being seen on NASA's own SOHO satellite and were referred to as sun cruisers. No other ET group had anything that was anywhere near this large in size, so it naturally was quite a source of interest. Gonzalez was the key. The man on the inside who ended up bringing me into this world again has been given the pseudonym Lieutenant Colonel Gonzalez for security reasons. He had experienced in-person contact with the sphere beings while in the SSP at about the same time I had experienced similar contacts while living here in America. Gonzalez did not report these encounters up the chain of command for some time, nor did I tell anyone about what I had experienced. In late February 2015, the sphere beings asked for me by name through Gonzalez. He did not know who I was, and his superiors had to look me up and figure it out. Up until I was requested by name, the sphere beings had completely refused to interact with the SSP Alliance, even though the Alliance felt they were trying to do something positive for humanity. The negative ETs will seek out contact with the most wealthy, powerful elites on Earth to promote their tyrannical, dictatorial, service-to-self message. The positive ETs seek contact with those who can help share their message of love, peace, and service to others.
Beyond 3.
Thrown in the middle. I effectively got thrown into the middle of a debate between the SSP Alliance and the Sphere Beings. Furthermore, the Sphere Beings wanted me to serve as their ambassador, sharing their perspective not just with the SSP Alliance, but with the general public on Earth. They are here to help guide us through an epic human evolutionary event that many call Ascension. I have been told this will involve a massive release of energy from the sun that triggers advancements in DNA and consciousness. Wilcock's new book, The Ascension Mysteries, has references to ancient prophecies of such an event from many different cultures. The giant spheres are a form of living technology that is used to help smooth out this transition as much as possible. Without the help of the spheres, such a transition would likely be catastrophic and largely unpredictable. The Blue Avians. The main ET group I've interacted with has been the Blue Avians, a race of humanoids with large eyes, and bird-like blue feathers on their bodies. We have since discovered that this is the same group that presented itself to the Egyptians through avian-looking humanoid gods such as Ra and possibly also Thoth. Their originally positive teachings were greatly distorted into the negative, as was described in the Law of One series. William Henry found ancient depictions of blue avians in Egyptian and other cultures, as reported in Cosmic Disclosure. Bird-headed humanoids are seen in Babylonian and South American inscriptions, as well as those of Egypt. Certain Bible passages describe Archangel Gabriel as having a bird-like appearance. Native American cultures also reported contact with the bird tribes, and the Japanese had the Tengu birdmen of the mountains. The blue avians are one of 5 mysterious, highly advanced ET races that are associated with the giant spheres. The Law of One series. Additionally, the blue avians have now absolutely confirmed that they were responsible for the creation of the Law of One series from 1981 to 1984. This was a series of 106 question and answer sessions between a PhD physicist and ufologist and an extraterrestrial intelligence. David had been studying the Law of One material heavily since 1996 and had already written 2 New York Times best-selling books on its complex science before we ever started talking. With that being said, the main blue avian I am in contact with, Ra Tier Air, has given us a warning about quoting from the Law of One as if it were a religion. He said many people are starting to quote chapter and verse from it and use it as a belief system that all new information has to meld with or be questioned and possibly rejected. They made it clear that there are certain distortions in the Law of One material that came from the people at L&L Research who presented it. If we make it into a bedrock belief system, it can create a personal religion that can be damaging for the individual in their emotional and spiritual evolution. Ultimately, we must all exercise our own discernment and choose for ourselves what the truth is, without ever worshiping any particular document or source that are now happening to me. He has been given a roadmap of stages to go through that could lead to these contacts, and writing his new book, Awakening in the Dream, appears to be one key part of that process. Since I had already been a part of the SSP in the 1980s, it did not violate my free will to be brought back into it later in life. This almost obsessive focus with preserving free will is a regular element of every session of the Law of One series. This story is complex and multifaceted. I would have had a significantly higher income if I was able to go back into the IT field instead of continuing to fight for full disclosure, as I am now doing. In the course of this work as an ambassador, I have come face to face with the highest levels of both the positive and the negative sides of this battle. Some of these experiences have been so profoundly unpleasant that I can only laugh when people say they wish they could be in my shoes. The full narrative arc has been traced out in Cosmic Disclosure, our show on Gaia, as well as in these updates at SphereBeingAlliance.com and at David's website, DivineCosmos.com.
Beyond 3D.
We're back in the studios, guys, with Beyond 3D. So, Blue Avians?
Blue Avians, Secret Space Program.
Interesting information. Gaia TV?
Gaia TV.
Absolutely. We'll put that link up as well on the Facebook page.
And that's all we have time for tonight, Matt.
That's the way it works.
Another week down in the can.
Indeed. Well, guys, you take great care of yourselves, especially if you're out at that short film festival tonight. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And you'll have a really lovely evening and rest of the weekend. So, goodbye from Clint, goodbye from myself. We will catch you next week with another edition of Beyond 3D.
And goodbye from Matt, and goodbye from myself, and we will catch you next week.
Take care, guys.
Good night.
Just because you haven't experienced it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.